Hi, I'm Chris for RightSizeLife.com. There isn't a family, large, small, or solo, that doesn't struggle with breakfast. Conventional breakfast can destroy a kitchen. Take an hour to prepare, only to be devoured in seconds before a busy day. So let's tackle a breakfast staple that won't destroy the kitchen, can easily be reheated, and if made right, is healthy and tasty. Oatmeal. One of the great trends of the last few years is the move back to hot cereals for breakfast, especially in diners and local coffee houses. For many of us who grew up on the mushy, flavorless porridges that were the domain of the instant and the microwave world, this isn't so much a return to an old favorite, but a discovery of a lost original. Many exciting, natural, oftentimes organic, gluten-free, even locally produced cereals are now widely available at our grocery. Now the problem with these longer cooking, more natural cereals is time. They don't take 1 minute in the microbubble. Regular old-fashioned oatmeal in particular can take the better part of 30 minutes, and steel-cut oats even longer. The solution to this breakfast dilemma is to make your breakfast the night before, in the oven. And the way we accomplish that is with a loaf pan. Baking oatmeal has three major advantages. First, its texture is much more palatable, more like a casserole than a sticky soup. Second, it is much easier to clean up after. The pan you bake it in comes away fairly clean, and the bowls you serve it in don't have that hard, sticky paste on the sides. Finally, it is easy to reheat or take on the go. Baked oatmeal can be placed in a microwave-safe container and heated at work during a short morning break. All right, let's talk ingredients. Most recipes for baked oatmeal call for quick oats or 1-minute oats. You can certainly use these. However, you can also use regular old-fashioned oats, which have a firmer texture. Yes, they will not stick together quite as well in the baking process as quick oats. However, the final product will be more like a cereal and less like a casserole. You just need to experiment to find out which texture and flavor that you like.
Baked oatmeal recipes all require the same basic ingredients: oats, butter or oil, milk, a sweetener, an egg, and some baking powder. Many use honey, maple syrup, or molasses as the sweetener. You can always substitute coconut oil for the butter and a milk alternative for the milk. The egg is just a thickener, so an egg substitute will do as well. This recipe calls for applesauce. Many baking recipes call for applesauce as a moisture source and sweetener. The problem with applesauce, like all things in our size household, is what to do with the leftover product. Although I normally wouldn't recommend individual packaged product, in this case it is perfect. Cups of applesauce, even organic unsweetened applesauce, are available in most large markets. You can also use an equivalent amount of mashed banana. What we are presenting here is a basic recipe. However, you can add any kind of dried fruit or nut you want to this recipe in reasonable quantities to enhance the oatmeal. Good suggestions are raisins, dried cranberries, dried cherries, dried blueberries, and nuts like pecans. Many of these ingredients are now available in local markets in the bulk section, which prevents us from buying more than we need for our smaller recipes. This basic baked oatmeal recipe calls for 1 1/2 cups of old-fashioned oats, 1 egg beaten, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/2 cup of milk, 1/8 cup of brown sugar, or 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, firmly packed, 1/4 cup of unsweetened applesauce, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and as an option you can also put in 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. I prefer to grate my own. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The actual mixing process is very simple. Start with beating the egg, sugar, and butter together until they're smooth. Then add the milk and the applesauce and mix those together. Then add your seasonings and dry ingredients, which includes the baking powder, the salt, the cinnamon, and if desired, nutmeg. I need to put in another plug here for grating your own nutmeg. It really is superior to anything you buy ground in the store. Finally, incorporate the oats until they're well moistened. Spray down a standard loaf pan with cooking spray and pour the whole mixture into the pan. Bake at 350 for 20 minutes or until it's firm. If you are serving right away, you may want to let the baked oatmeal cool for about 5 minutes. It will firm up a bit after it comes out of the oven. Then, cut a slice and put it into a bowl. You can serve the baked oatmeal just like you would serve regular oatmeal, including with dried fruit, milk, nuts, and if people desire, more sweetener like honey, brown sugar, or maple syrup. Now this recipe serves 2 to 3 hearty servings or 3 to 4 for smaller breakfast eaters. It can easily be doubled. Just switch your pan from a loaf pan to an 8x8 or 9x9 pan. Equivalent glass casserole pans are fine with this recipe. You may need to watch the time, however, with glass versus metal.
Breakfast will always be a challenge. Baking oatmeal takes at least some of the morning eating frenzy off the plate. And with so many dried fruits, alternative and natural sweeteners, and of course fresh fruit additions, baked oatmeal can provide excellent taste and seasonal variety. So bake some oatmeal and get out of the habit of ripping open packages or, worse yet, driving up to a window for breakfast. That is all for this video demo. You can find a written version of this demo along with other lifestyle and cooking tips at RightSizeLife.com. RightSizeLife.com is an online community dedicated to those living solo or in pairs. RightSizeLife.com. Big living on a small scale.